I'm having problems connecting to Facebook. I'm gonna, Forrest, if you could hear me, I'm gonna shut everything down and restart it back up. So you may have to reconnect. Alrighty. Welcome to Look Around Florida. Let's take a look. What the hell? Let's try this. Okay. Hi, I'm having. Oh, okay. We should be good to go. We should be good to go. Alrighty. Let me double check, make sure we are live on Facebook. Alrighty, we're up and running on Facebook now. Wow, live on YouTube from Jamestown. Wow, Derek, how you been, buddy? Alrighty, hi guys. Glad y'all gonna be here. John, uh, if anybody gets a chance, double check on Facebook. It looks like we are live. So looks like we're back up and running now. Thank you, Derek. Thank you, Derek. I appreciate you connecting to Facebook and letting me know we're live. Wow, I don't know what happened. I really don't know what happened. You know, we do have our special guest, Commander Forrest Daws. He's in timeout right now. We'll be bringing him up shortly. Glad y'all could be here tonight. I really appreciate it. So when you join in the chat, just type in hi and where you're located. Oh, hey, buddy. Good to see you from the Tennessee division. So we're up and running. So far, so good. Alrighty. Like I said, we do have quite a bit of events coming up. Bobby Van Zant, the man with the plan. Bobby, was that the Temptations you were hanging out with earlier? Looked like you were having a fun time. So, we do have some events coming up. There we go. Bob Highball, welcome, welcome. We had a little problem with Facebook earlier, but it's looking like it's been resolved. Charles LeRay's in the house. Welcome, sir. Like I said, we do have Forrest Daws in the background. So let's get rock and rolling so we don't eat up too much of his time. We do have this event coming up this weekend at the Turner Center in Arcadia from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. The Pioneer Days of Arcadia. I will be there with the booth. The Arcadia camp will be there with their displays. Please come by and say hi. We will have, I did talk to Jeff Cotton this week. We will have the Confederate Veteran Traveling Wall. If everything goes good, I am planning on going live at this event this Saturday. Come join us. We do have this. Wait, that says March. Yeah. Whoop. This event just happened last weekend. All righty, attention all patriots. Pelican Creek Raid reenactment, April 10th through the 12th from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Battle at 2 p.m. Saturday and Sunday. Location is the Florida Agriculture Museum in Palm Coast, Florida. Come check it out. My camp with the Arcadia Camp are teaming up for this event Saturday, April the 18th, 2025 at 10 a.m. at Fort Ogden Cemetery. Sponsored by the SCV Camp 2181 and the OCR chapter Emily Pickett chapter number 24. Bring a lawn chair for service. A picnic will be held afterwards. If you want more information on this event, you can please get a hold of me or if Ron Jones pops in the channel. We have this event coming up. Liberty Bell Museum presents Civil War Days, April the 25th, 10 a.m. to 3 p.m., 1601 Oak Street, Melbourne. The Melbourne camp and various other camps on the East Coast do show up to this event and have displays. We also have where was it? I just seen it. Wait. Let me get back to it. Please set your calendars, not this weekend, but next weekend, Saturday, April the 4th at 11 a.m. The Florida Cow Cavalry Monument dedication in Dade City at the Pioneer Museum on Pioneer Museum Road, Dade City, Florida. Please come by and hang out. If you do have uniforms, flags, and rifles, we are putting together a color guard. If you want more details about the color guard or rifle squad, please reach out to Jerry Peacock. Speak of the devil, he just joined the channel and he does have a drum and he does travel. So please come in. All these events that are coming up, please come and support your local SCV camps and OCR chapters. They will appreciate you guys coming in to support them. We are a family here in Florida. We do support each other. SCV, OCR, and UDC. With that being said, please give a warm welcome to Forrest Daws, the division commander of Mississippi. And I don't
happy to be here.
Remember what other positions you have, sir.
Well, I appreciate the opportunity to be here this evening.
Thank you, sir. All righty. I'll let you roll with it.
Okay. Again, I appreciate the opportunity to be here and address everyone this evening. For those of you that don't know me yet, my name is Forrest S. Daws, and I'm currently the commander of the Mississippi Division Sons of Confederate Veterans, as well as serving as historian-in-chief for the SCV. I've been in the SCV since 2000, so going on my 26th year. Actually, May 4th is my anniversary date for the SCV, be 26 years. I am currently running for Army of Tennessee councilman, and that is a decision I did not arrive at lightly and certainly don't take lightly. A lot of thought and prayer went into that, talked to a lot of people about it, and it's something that I felt led to do. And so I hope this summer in Kentucky to receive support to become your next Army of Tennessee councilman.
Sweet. I don't know, but it's probably this way they're sitting. Thank you, Commander. What kind of ideas are you going to bring it into the councilman?
Well, something that was asked to me in my last interview, I was on Look Around the Confederation last week, and one of the questions that was posed is what motivated me to run for the GEC. When did I decide I was going to run for the See, and truthfully, I will retell this story for anybody that didn't catch that. For me, it goes all the way back to 2020, and really, I guess 2019. When I joined the SCV, I went to division reunions. I went to a few national reunions, but I pretty much stayed at the camp level and worked at the camp level. And I was very proud of that. I'm certainly not demeaning that by any means. And in 2019, our newly elected division commander, George Connor Bond, asked me if I would serve as chairman of the Mississippi Division Monuments Committee. And I thought, yeah, cool. I'll do that. Be happy to help out, step outside my comfort zone a little bit. And so I really didn't know. I said, what does that chairman do? And we talked about a few things. And so I began traveling around the state of Mississippi, visiting our monuments, taking photographs, documenting the condition of them, where they're located, that sort of thing. And we rocked and rolled with that for a few months. And then the spring of 2020 came. And I don't think I have to tell anybody in the Sons of Confederate Veterans what happened in 2020. And for me, the moment when I decided I needed to run for higher office was when I stood in my living room and watched on national television the Confederate monument in Birmingham, Alabama being defaced while on the phone with the Birmingham Police Department, who did absolutely nothing. And I said at that moment, I said, okay, I've got to get more involved. I got to get off the sidelines and get in the game. And so getting back to that question they asked, when did I decide? I decided in 2020, but I wasn't ready yet. And so I started running for offices. I first ran for 5th Brigade councilman here in Mississippi, and I was blessed to win that election and spent some time getting my feet wet in the DEC and learning how our division worked and operated. During that time, I was asked by past Commander-in-Chief Jason Boshears if I would consider being Historian-in-Chief. And I was absolutely floored and honored at that and jumped at the chance. In the meantime, I was elected First Lieutenant Commander of the Mississippi Division. And unfortunately, our division commander at the time ended up having some health issues. So I was kind of thrown in the fire. And while I remained First Lieutenant Commander, I never officially assumed the position of division commander. I did have to, in various instances, take over those duties. And so that gave me a taste of what it was going to be like in an executive role running a division. And then this past summer, I was asked and agreed and wanted to run for division commander and was elected and hit the ground running. And so that brings me full circle to where now I feel like I've served in a councilman capacity. I've served as first lieutenant. I've served as division commander. I've served in a national position as historian in chief. I feel like I have a better background, more suited to run for a position on the General Executive Council now. And I've had a few people approach me and, hey, you should think about it. And I was very flattered, but I did want to wait, and I do feel more prepared now. I've attended the last several GEC meetings, again, trying to be there, get a feel for how the organization operates at that level. And I want to have that opportunity. I tell people something that stuck with me back in 2022 when Commander Boshears was elected. He said, a lot of people want the title. I'm here to do the job. And that really stuck with me because, to be perfectly honest, I don't care what neck ribbon I've got on. I don't care what title I hold. I want to do the job. And so when people ask me, why do you want to be Army of Tennessee councilman, it's not to have the title. It's to do the job. It's to have that opportunity to bring some fresh ideas and work for the people of the Army and for the overall organization. And so some of the specific things, if you want to ask and get into that, is really mimicking some of the things I'm trying to do right here in Mississippi. One thing that I mentioned, for example, is we created a division cadet membership. I remember when the National Cadet Program was launched, my son was actually the 7th cadet member nationwide. I was excited. I jumped right on it, signed him up. He got a certificate, got his pen, but then that was kind of it. He was a cadet, but there wasn't really anything for him to do. He's not a member. He can't vote. I brought him to camp meetings and reunions and that type thing, but he wasn't really engaged. And I said, we need to not only get these young people in, we need to engage them. And so we created the Mississippi Division Cadet Program. And specifically, it's geared toward teaching our young boys and engaging them so that by the time they turn 12, they understand the organization, they understand what we're trying to do, they've got some education in our heritage, and they're ready to hit the ground running. And so we've broken things up. We've got age-appropriate activities. We're not going to have a 5-year-old cadet doing the same thing that an 8-year-old cadet's going to be doing. It's going to be a building, a gradual process. And so I'm excited about that, and I would like to see those changes implemented at the national level to where we're doing things to engage our young people. Another thing I did here in Mississippi is we have our traditional, like most every other division, we've got our recruiting and retention committee that's chaired by the first lieutenant commander. But as you and I were talking before the show, and I'll recap that, we had a workshop here in Mississippi. We've had a couple this year. And back in November, my first lieutenant commander of Mississippi Division, Terry Arthur, hosted a recruiting and retention workshop. And one of the things that was brought up in that, and I thought it was a great analogy, you don't fish in the Gulf with the same tackle that you fish with in the river with. And you don't fish in the river like you're going to fish in the pond. And, you know, you don't try to catch a catfish the same way that you try to catch a tuna. They're two totally different species. You got to go after them in different ways. And recruiting and retention is kind of the same way. There is no cookie cutter, one size fits all for our recruiting issues. And so one thing I did was I created a separate committee that targets under 40. So it is staffed by people, it is manned by people that are in their 20s, 30s, that understand that they're not going to talk to those people the same way that we would talk to a prospective member that's in their 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s. And it's not that we're turning our back on that membership, not by any means, but it is a different way that we're going to go about recruiting those. And so it makes sense to me, hey, let's have a group of people that focuses on this group and this target audience, and then let's have another group that focuses on this target audience. So that's another thing that I would like to explore at the national level is let's look at some different ways to recruit based on age, based on where you live. Again, you're probably not going to recruit in an urban area the same way you're going to recruit in a rural area. And those are things that we need to talk about and discuss. And so those are just a couple of ideas and things that I'm excited about. And then really, you know, I want to hear from the membership and I want to hear from the other people on the GEC. I'm blessed to serve on the board of directors at Beauvoir, the last home of President Jefferson Davis in Biloxi. And we have a 5-member board of directors and a 5-member board of trustees that serve as a combined boards. And our chairman of the board frequently says 10 heads are better than one, you know. So when we check our egos and put that to the side and put the organization first, at the end of the day, I don't really care whose idea something was. If it's a good idea, let's do it. If it's a bad idea, well, you know, maybe we tried it and it didn't work. Okay, let's put that aside and move on and try another idea. Mm-hmm. But I think sometimes in this organization, we get some people that are so bent on it's got to be my way or it's got to be my idea. You know, when we start looking at it like that, it stops being about them and it starts being about us. And it's not about us. It's about our ancestors. It is about our mission, but it's not about us as individuals. And I think we've got to get back to that. Not saying that we don't have a lot of members that do view it like that. But in my opinion, that's just something that we need to work on. And that's something that I hope to have the opportunity to bring to the table after this summer.
Cool. Yeah, because I like your idea on the doing something with the cadet program. I have a member of my camp. We just made him a full member. That to honor his late father, he was a cadet.
Right.
Yeah. I've heard from him. I've heard from his mother that there's nothing really to keep him interested.
And that's, you know, people ask me all the time, and I'm going to brag on him for a little bit. He's my son, but I'm going to brag on him. And people ask me all the time, you know, what did you do? You know, because let's be honest, there are not a lot of people in their 20s that are as on fire for the cause as my son. And it's really simple. I started bringing him to meetings before he really knew what was going on. I involved him in projects. One of the first things that he did, that he'll tell you, one of the first things he remembers is every April, he knew we were going to go to the cemeteries and put flags out. Now, I don't know that he fully understood, who we're putting them out for and why we're putting them out and all that. Didn't really matter. He was involved. He was engaged. And as he grew and as he understood, that foundation was there. The Bible says, train your children in the way that should come up, and then when they grow up, they're not going to stray from that. Obviously, that's paraphrasing, but basically, we've got to start at a young age and pour that foundation. And sure, when they get in their 20s, 30s, trying to raise a family, get a job, they might not be as active, but that foundation's been poured. And now when they get to their 40s, 50s, 60s, when they get to a point in their life where they can be more involved, they're going to remember back to those guys that showed me the way, that made sure I was prepared and understood what this fight is all about. Now I'm at a point in my life to where I'm ready. So I really do think it's a full circle thing. There's been a lot of talk about youth recruiting over the last few years. And again, I want to reiterate, I'm not saying we stop recruiting people in their 40s, 50s, 60s and up. I'm saying that we also need to target on the teens, 20s, 30s, and we're not going to recruit them the same way that we're going to recruit people that are my age and up. It's just a fact of life. So changing the strategies and how we recruit is part of it. And it's twofold with a cadet. Yeah, one, we're laying that foundation for them, but two, we're making it easier on that cadet's father to be involved, because now I'm bringing my son with me. Now it's a family activity. I'm engaged with the people of my age group, but he's engaged with the people of his age group. And I think that's going to bear fruit if we'll give that an opportunity.
Good point. Good point. About bringing the family involved. I've seen that actually work down in my area. Due to the fact I have a father and son. They come to camp meetings, and when we do get-togethers, the whole family comes out.
Absolutely.
So that does work. I mean, in my opinion, and from what I see, other people may have different opinions and different ideas.
Well, at the end of the day, here's the truth of it.
Yeah.
We're competing with so many other things out there. There was a time in this nation's history to where, one, you didn't have a lot of downtime, and when you did, you didn't have a lot of money to do anything with it. But now we are so blessed. People talk about, and I'm not making light of it, times can get tight, but I promise you right now, they're not as tight as they were in the Great Depression and the times that my grandfather went through. And we are able to travel more. We're able to go and do more, and there are more options. And so when we're asking people to come to an SCV meeting or an SCV event, what we're also asking them to do is not go to a ball game, not go to the movies, not go and camp, not go and hunt. We're asking them to choose us over all the other options that they've got. And we make that choice a little bit easier when we involve the whole family, and when we make it a family-friendly environment, and when we make it something that, the SCV has been huge for the relationship between me and my son. It's something that we share, something that we love, that we're both passionate about. And he has literally grown up in the organization. He held his first camp office when he was a teenager. And now he holds national office. He holds division level office. He's on fire for the cause. And, I would be willing to bet that he and I discuss something SCV related on a daily basis. And it all started with that cadet program and getting him involved at an early age.
True. Since you've been involved with the SCV outside of your camp, right, have you came across people that you may share an ancestor with?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. As a matter of fact, past Commander-in-Chief Chuck McMichael, so a couple of years ago, they moved the Confederate monument that was previously in Shreveport, Cato Parish Monument, moved it and relocated it out to the battlefield and re-erected it, rededicated it. And I went out there for that as historian-in-chief. I felt like, wow, this is a historic thing. I want to try to be there for that. And after it was over, he, of course, again, that's about 5 hours, give or take, away from my house. Commander McMichael said, why don't y'all come back to the house, have lunch, whatever. And in doing so, we sat down and we're talking with he and his wife. Come to find out, his wife and I are cousins. And I can't tell you, that's one example. I can't tell you how many times that, I'm sitting here talking and, oh, well, my family came from North Carolina too. Oh, really? What part? Because most everybody, again, let's be honest here. If you are outside of those 13 original colonies, your people came from somewhere else, more than likely. Very few people got off the boat in Mississippi. They got off the boat, most of them in the Carolinas, and ventured over this way and going to these reunions and meeting people from all over the Confederation. I'll start talking and I'll mention, well, I had an ancestor that fought in this, and inevitably somebody's going to turn around and go, really, what company? So that's happened to me several times. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's the connection that me and Ronnie Nichols has. His dad is from the same town as 4 of my Confederate ancestors there in South Carolina. It was kind of cool when we went up to Charleston, South Carolina. We went to the cemetery, we cleaned the graves and all that, and he took me around the town and showed me other historical stuff that I didn't even know about.
Right.
And that was cool. And that was back when we were all meeting up in Charleston, South Carolina for that reunion.
Absolutely. I've got a friend of mine, and when I say lifelong friend, we met in K4, so literally lifelong friends.
Yep.
Went to college together, all that good stuff, and known him my whole life, and started doing a little bit of research. Come to find out, we were kin.
Yeah.
And so I called him up one day when I found this out, and I said, hey, you got a few minutes? I want you to take a ride with me. He said, yeah, sure. And went and met him in town, picked him up, and we drove out to this country church and got out, and we started walking into the cemetery. And, my buddy kind of looks at me like, dude, we're in a cemetery. Where are we going? I said, just bear with me. And we walk over and we stand in front of these headstones. And I say, this is your great, 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 great grandparents. And he just looked and he said, wow, that's pretty cool. I said, they're also my great, 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 great grandparents. And he looked at me and just lit up. And that was the first step into getting him into the SCV. And, here after all this time, not only are we lifelong friends, we're family. We have the same ancestor. And so after I found that out, he joined the SCV under the same ancestor that I did, over 20 years ago. So, again, happens all the time, and always a good thing. Cool connection to find those things.
Oh, yeah, because one guy I definitely want to meet face to face and tie our trees together actually sits on the board with you for Benoit.
Okay.
Last name Paul, McFall.
Okay.
He was the adjutant. I don't know if he still is. I haven't talked to him, I would say about a year.
Right.
I know the Confederate ancestor he joined under was Alabama. Well, there was only 4 McFalls that came in to America pre-French and Indian War. Virginia and the Carolinas area. My direct line came into Philadelphia. But all 4 of them, for what I gather in the research, my mother, and the list goes on.
Right.
They were all brothers.
Okay.
Came in. The 3, Virginia and the Carolinas, mine came into Philadelphia from Ireland. Prior to Ireland, they were in Scotland, 1500s and before.
Right.
Yep.
Well, that's similar. For those people, and most people probably don't know where Wayne County, Mississippi is, but it's 90 miles up from the Gulf Coast and borders Alabama on our eastern side. And so when my family settled, we were right there on that Mississippi-Alabama line, as it would eventually come to be. And so I had a lot of ancestors that fought in Alabama units, and I had a lot that fought in Mississippi units.
Mhm.
And I even had an ancestor that fought in a Florida unit. So I had an ancestor in the 1st Florida. Of course, I had some, my grandfather that came over here, he left a lot of brothers and nephews back in North Carolina. So I had North Carolina ancestors. So I had people all over, and it's always, I've been doing this for 26 years. The SCV is what got me into my genealogy. I knew my grandparents, and that was, great grandparents, and that was about it. And when I started looking for membership, I knew I had an ancestor because I had a cousin that was in the camp that we had the same ancestor. And he said, but a lot of people, if there's an ancestor on their father's side, that same last name, they like to join under that. And I said, really? He said, do you have one? And I was embarrassed. I didn't know. And I went back and I talked to my dad and I started doing some digging. And, now here I am 26 years later, and I'm still finding out things about my own family. For example, I just recently, and I say recently, within the last year and a half, figured out the identity of my great-great-grandfather, who is buried at Camp Chase, Ohio. And, all these years I've been looking, and I finally, got a break in it and was able to find that. So I'm really looking forward to this reunion in Kentucky, because I'm going to take an extra day and we're going to drive on into Ohio. And for the first time, I'm going to be able to lay eyes on my great-great-grandfather's headstone.
Cool. I know the feeling you're going to have, because growing up, this all started with my great-grandmother. You okay?
Right.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Your eyes were closed, so I didn't know if you passed out.
No. I was looking down. I'm trying to follow the comments a little bit, so I had my phone laying down, and I was looking at some of the comments.
Let me put this out there real quick, guys, girls. We have Forrest Daws here. He is running for Army of Tennessee councilman. If you think of any questions that you have for him, feel free to put them in the chat. Just like Forrest just said, he is following the chat just as I do. And as soon as I catch one question you have, I will put it right up on the screen so everybody can see your question. David Lincoln, hey buddy. But yeah, because this, for me, it started out as my great-grandmother.
Right.
Hearing about her grandfather that was a Union soldier that died at Andersonville. This goes back 70s, 80s, spending time with Nana. And I finally had a chance to visit his grave. I was doing the reenactment in Jonesboro, Georgia. Coming home, it don't matter. Yeah, if you're near a historical, there's always historical signs all over the place. I followed the signs and I went there and went in the building, told him, I called my uncle, my grandmother's brother. I said, what is his name? Indiana unit. Okay. They punched it up, told me where he was located. And yeah, very emotional because I grew up hearing about him.
It is. Obviously, with a name like Forrest, when I introduce myself to people at SCV events, the name catches their attention. And I didn't know the full story. You see, my father is named Forrest.
Oh, that's cool.
What we have found out is, and I knew this, but I didn't know the entire story. My father is named Forrest because my grandmother's grandfather fought under General Forrest. And when he was captured and died in a Yankee POW camp, that affected, obviously, my family, so much so that my grandmother thought enough of the general to name her son after him. And then my father, in turn, named me Forrest, and now my son is named Forrest. So we have 3 generations that carry that name. And knowing all these years that I had a ancestor that was in the Confederate Cavalry that fought under Nathan Bedford Forrest, you hear that and that's cool, but to finally have a name, to finally have the service record, to know which battle it was he fought under, General Forrest at, and to know where his final resting place is a blessing. And I'm so excited to get up to Ohio and to be able to finally pay my respects after all these years. So I'm really, it's going to be emotional, but very excited about it.
Well, that's cool. That is very cool, sir. Well, we do have a question that came in. You can beat him up later. This ain't your son.
Okay.
Derek out of the Tennessee division.
Okay. Well, yes, I do. I have a background in coaching and education. Something I really had not intended to do. If you would have told me in high school that's what I was going to end up doing, I would have called you a liar. The way that whole thing went about, people ask me all the time, why do you teach history and government? And my reply is because history and political science were good pre-law majors. My intent was to go to law school. And I took the LSAT, applied, got accepted, all that stuff. And my alma mater, my high school, called me up and asked if I would be interested in coming back and helping coach for a season. And the college where I got my first bachelor's degree was on the trimester system. And my classes had just ended, and it was going to work out there with that winter trimester that I was going to be free and available to do that. And I said, yeah, that'd be fun. I kind of miss playing ball. I'll go back and do that. And in doing that, I was on campus and, well, hey, we need somebody to sub for these classes. And I started subbing and teaching a little bit. And I fell in love with the profession. And I did a pivot, no pun intended, and went down that path in life. And I coached basketball for 22 seasons. I retired from that a couple of years ago and slid over into administration. I'm the athletic director now at Wayne Academy in Waynesboro. And I still teach a couple of classes. And insofar as that question, how does that bring something to the table? First and foremost, I think it's a meshing of everything. I honestly believe everything that I've done in my life has led to this moment. And the skills of managing egos, the skills of learning whose talent is what and putting them in the right place, that's a big part of coaching. Managing egos, you can have great players, but if you can't control those egos, and if you can't put them in the place where they're going to do the most good, that can blow up in your face. So that was something that came from that. But honestly, really, it was bringing that real world experience, because another thing I did outside of that, my family's in petroleum land management. And that's an industry we've been in since 1939 when oil was first discovered here in Mississippi. And the portion of that being a landman, I have been in and out of dozens of courthouses all over the state and on into Alabama, Texas, Louisiana, and I pull and research title and decipher who owns what percentage of minerals in any given parcel, and then negotiate leases or contracts to purchase those minerals. And so obviously having that background in documents, research, and negotiating with people, all those things are good skills to have. But as I mentioned earlier, what really did it is whenever I was able to take that real world experience and put it to work in the SCV, learning the different positions in the SCV. So I can honestly say, while all those things helped me, what really helped me the most, what prepared me and makes me think I'm ready for this challenge, is the different positions I've held in the Sons of Confederate Veterans. Serving as a brigade councilman, serving as a lieutenant commander of division, serving as a commander of a division, holding a national office and historian in chief, and working with people at the national level. All of those things, I can honestly say I have learned something at every single position I've held. And so while, yes, my background outside of the SCV has helped, what really allowed me to move forward is to take those skills and plug them in and figure out how this organization works and how best I can utilize those skills. So it's really been a combination of all of those things.
Sweet. Thank you, sir. Good question, Derek. Thank you. Alrighty. Yeah, I know you touched on the cadet program.
Yes, sir.
What other ideas or that you want to bring in as councilman?
Well, you know, we've talked about this, and I believe you and I were talking about it earlier, but an online presence, both our website and social media, to me is crucial. Again, I can't tell you how many people. Well, I'll give you an example. I guarantee you, out of the last 20 or so speaking engagements I've had, 75% of them I've been contacted through social media. People have reached out on Facebook Messenger. You know, it's such a tool, and I feel like we're underutilizing that tool. I'm excited that the current council has finally started to pay a little bit of attention to that and move in that direction. But I think having an updated, fully functional website is crucial. And I think that having a larger push in social media, one, it's far cheaper than traditional media. You know, if you try to take out an ad in a national magazine, it's going to cost thousands and thousands of dollars, as opposed to where we can take a few $100 and have a social media push and reach as many or more people. It's a great way to get our content out there. You know, I run into a lot of camps that say, well, you know, the news media locally here is against us. You know, they're not going to show anything. I'm blessed here in Wayne County. My camp does something, we can write it up, submit it to our local newspaper, and they're going to print it, no questions asked. They're not going to try to change anything or, you know, leave out photos or anything. As is, they put it in there. A lot of communities aren't like that. But here's the thing. You can pick that phone up and log on to Facebook and create an account for free and get your camp some publicity and get your camp some promotions. And I try to tell people this. You know, the Bible says we're supposed to give to others and we're supposed to do it out of the kindness of our heart and not so people say, oh, look at me and what I'm doing for those around. That's the wrong motivation. And a lot of people think that that's what I'm trying to do on social media, and that's far from it. I'm not doing this as a look at me and pat myself on the back. When I post on social media, is to show the public who we are and what we're doing. And I have had a lot of people that have come up to me and say, wow, you know, I didn't know you guys did that. Or, hey, you know, I didn't know you were involved in that. How many times have we heard the SCV is the best kept secret in the South? We've got to shed that moniker. That needs to die a slow, quick, painful death. Quick, painful, that's a little contradictory, but it needs to die, and we need to move forward with everybody knows who we are. Everybody knows what we're about. And I really think that utilizing technology is going to be something that we can use as a weapon in that war. And I think it's something that's past due, but it's never too late. And I'm glad the council is starting to move in that direction. And if elected, I plan on continuing to make sure we head in that direction.
Cool. Thank you. Because you tied in one of my questions right into that, and that was social media ads. And I do appreciate you touching up on those because I've seen them work.
Absolutely.
All right, we got a question that came in for you. Jerry Peacock that has a drum and will travel. What are your views regarding the UDC and OCR working in conjunction with the SCV when it comes to preserving Southern heritage? Should we not honor them since we are brothers and sisters, fight for the cause? I'm sure you're reading it just as much as
I am, and absolutely, Jerry, I couldn't agree more. You know, you can have separate organizations and still work together. That is possible. You know, a lot of people are so concerned, and there's history in the SCV with some organizations in the past But at the end of the day, the SCV is the SCV. We're not going to change that. I'm not talking about merging. I'm not talking about all becoming one, but we can work hand in hand. That absolutely can happen. When we have events here in Mississippi, I'm going to reach out to the UDC. I'm going to reach out to the OCR. I'm going to reach out to all the organizations that champion Southern history and heritage and give them an invitation and make sure they know what's going on. And we would love to have them show up. If there's any way that we can help, what can we do? Give you an example. The Jefferson Davis Highway, portions of it run through the state of Mississippi. And just south of Jackson, there was a Jefferson Davis Highway marker that came down during some construction several years ago. Well, the highway construction finally stopped, and everybody that's in our circle started saying, okay, you're done. Where's our monument? Why is it not back out? And that's a UDC monument. And we were able to get it back out. The UDC wanted to have a rededication and a ceremony. Absolutely. What can I do to help? If you need me to speak, if you need me to try to get a color guard, let's work together on this thing and bring light to the fact that, we've got a victory here. I've seen that going around on social media, SCV success. That was an SCV success. And it doesn't matter if the UDC took the lead on it, if we took the lead on it. Quit worrying about who gets the credit and just get the job done.
Yeah.
And
Amen.
So absolutely, I'm all in favor of working with UDC, OCR, separate organizations. You run yours, we'll run ours. But at the end of the day, there's absolutely no sense why we shouldn't work together. In fact, just the opposite. We should be ashamed of ourselves if we don't try to work together.
I want to touch up on that. Does that also include like the MOSB, the Southern Cross?
That's a touchy subject for a lot of members, and I'm going to share my views and my thoughts, and those are my views and thoughts only.
Yeah,
absolutely. Again, I know there's history there. I'm not going to get into the pointing fingers and talking about the coup and everything that happened back in 2005. Newsflash, that was 21 years ago. I'm not saying let's, slip and get into the same predicament that we were in 21 years ago. But once again, separate organizations doesn't mean we can't work together. Doesn't mean that if there's an issue that is near and dear to both of our hearts, we can't both be there in support of that organization. Why in the world can we not? Again, I'm not saying merge. I'm not saying anything like that. The SCV is the SCV. It is governed by our people. But yes, if another organization comes up, walk into the National Confederate Museum. Go look at some of those beautiful display cases. Where did a lot of those come from? Southern Cross.
Yep.
We can and should work together on certain issues. Long as everybody stays in their lane and understands, who's running which organization and that sort of thing, I see absolutely no reason why we can't work together.
Correct. Yep. Thank you. All right, Jerry, I hope that answers your question. Donald Gaines, welcome, buddy. Good to see you. And, sir, your son has joined the chat.
His class must have either taken a break or he's gotten done early tonight.
Either or. Exactly, Al. Just like Forrest said, at the end of the day, the UDC's the UDC, this group, that group, we are the SCV. Put aside all that stuff and let's get the mission done. We're all here for the same thing, honoring our ancestors.
Well, Derek asked earlier about my time as a coach and an educator, and one of my favorite things that I would tell my players, I put together playbooks for my players, and I had a section in there on quotes from various coaches, players over the years. And one of the quotes that, and I'm paraphrasing now, I'm getting older, my memory's not what it used to be, but it said, it's amazing what you can get accomplished when you don't care who gets the credit. And I challenge our members to think about that. And don't get me wrong, I'm not going to sit here and lie to you. There are things I've done in this organization that dadgummit I'm proud of. And I'll stick my chest out a little bit and say, yeah, I'm proud I was a part of that. I thought that was a pretty good idea myself. But at the end of the day, that's not what defines it. That's not what it's about. If I have an idea and it works, great. If I have an idea and it comes up short and you've got an idea and it does work and works better, I'm going to be the first to pat you on the back. I'm going to be the first to roll up my sleeves and help you out, because at the end of the day, your success is my success. If you're succeeding, I'm succeeding, because we're both a part of the same organization and we both have the same mission. And honestly, I think that's the source of a lot of the infighting, I'll say, that you see in our organization. At the end of the day, we all want the same thing. We just don't always agree on the best way to go about achieving that. And I keep going back to him, but something Jason Boshier said, and I forget which article it was in, but during his administration, one of his commander articles discussed the "I'm more Confederate than you" syndrome. And I fully believe that's a thing. Well, I'm a part of this, so that makes me better than you somehow. Look, I don't care if you're into Metcalf and you wear a vest and you ride and you go participate in these events, great. If you're a reenactor, living historian, and you dress up as an 1861 soldier and go reenact and put on living history events, great. If you go out to cemeteries and you've got your CERT certification and you're going out there cleaning headstones and repairing headstones, great. One's not better than the other. It's all different things, but we're all honoring our ancestors. Find what you bring to the table and bring it to the table. Stop worrying about what you're not doing and start focusing on what you can do.
Yep. Yeah, because there's a quote that Robert E. Lee talks about, and it talks about duty. Do no more and no less. I mean, I'm paraphrasing it a little bit.
That's right. Everybody's got their God-given talents. I used to tell my players that everybody wants to be the guy that scores the points. Problem is, everybody can't be the guy that scores the points. Somebody's got to bring the ball up the floor. Somebody's got to have the assist. Somebody's got to play the lockdown defense. Somebody's got to be your rebounder. And when you figure out which one of those you're best at and you focus on that and stop trying to be somebody that you're not, you're going to have more success and the team's going to have more success. My junior year in high school, I set a state record for blocked shots. I was a defensive guy because the guy that was the senior was dropping 25 a night. I didn't need to score a whole lot. He was taking care of the score, and I took care of the other end. Well, the next year he graduated, and I was a senior. Well, now I had to score. I had to change my role. Sometimes that happens too. But at the end of the day, it's all about taking pride in whatever it is you bring to the table and supporting the people that bring the things to the table that you don't. That's what makes a team a team.
Yes, sir. Well said. All right, guys. We got a couple more minutes with Commander Forrest Daws. Feel free to ask questions. If he was shy, he wouldn't be here.
Absolutely.
And we all know his son Harris is not shy.
Well, I tell my students all the time, ask me anything. I may not know the answer, but I'll give you what I do know, and I'll try to find out the answer and come back to you if I don't know the answer. So not scared of questions at all. People might not agree with what the answer I give or my opinion on things, but that's the beauty of it, man. You can have one opinion, I can have the other, and at the end of the day, you may change my mind and I may change yours. And that goes back to checking the ego thing. I'm worried about the team's success, not my success.
Yes, sir. Alrighty, guys. We got 2-minute warning. Feel free to ask Forrest just about anything, but keep it clean.
Yes, I would ask that.
All right, guys. if you don't think of anything, we're all gonna be in a few months. Well, what is it? Yeah, we're in April. Yeah, 3 months away from the national reunion in Kentucky.
Be here before you know it.
Oh, well, I know. I'm looking forward to it. I always look forward to the national reunions.
I do too, and I got to be honest, I'm really looking forward to this one. I've been looking forward to this one since I found out it was going to be in Kentucky. The fact that I've ended up running for an office is icing on the cake. And again, I've tried to tell people this: whether I get elected, don't get elected, my mindset's not going to change, and how I attack our enemies is not going to change. What I've got around my neck or what title I've got out by the side of my name, I'm not going to sit here and say it's not meaningful to me. It would be a great honor to be the Army of Tennessee councilman. But at the end of the day, I'm here to do a job, and I'm here to fight for our ancestors in this organization, and I'm going to do that one way or the other.
Cool. And alrighty. Mr. Daws, I do appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to come on tonight, and so the guys and girls can ask you questions and kind of know who you are prior to Kentucky.
Well, I appreciate the opportunity to come on. I appreciate what you do, first of all. I think that these programs, chat, look around the Confederation, look around Florida, all of the people that are starting to reach out and have these online programs now, I think it's a great thing. I think it's brought us all together. We have this technology. Why not use it? So I appreciate you doing what you do and giving me the opportunity to come and share some of my thoughts, views, and opinions. And I look forward to seeing everyone in Kentucky. By all means, come up, ask questions. I'm not bashful. And again, you might enlighten me to something that I don't know about and change my mind on something, and I might do the same to you. So right. Looking forward to seeing everybody in Kentucky.
All righty, sir. All right, guys. Hope to see as many of you this weekend in Arcadia at the Pioneer Days event. Come by, say hi to me, come by and check out the Confederate Traveling Wall. We'll be there. Come and check it out. If you have an ancestor that served in a Florida unit, he may be on that wall. So come by, check it out. What I'm presenting and what the Arcadia camp is presenting to the public. So stop by, say hi. I'm not shy. If I was, I wouldn't be doing this show. But I've always enjoyed, I enjoy doing this every week. So please check out tomorrow night. I look around the Confederation with Moose, aka Harris Daws, the son of Commander Forrest Daws. That's tomorrow night at 8 p.m. For us here in Florida, where majority of us are Eastern Standard Time. So please check that out tomorrow night. Until next Wednesday, may the Lord bless you in your adventures this week. Stay Southern, stay out of trouble, and don't appear on social media with the Florida man story. All right, guys, gentlemen, ladies, have a good night. May the Lord be with you.
My name is Nelson W. Winbush. I'm a member of the Jacob Sumner Camp 1516, Sons of Confederate Veterans. My reason for joining the Sons of Confederate Veterans after the NAACP declared they would destroy and remove everything Confederate, in 1990, I decided that I would do all I could to make sure that people understood what the Confederacy stood for.